Welcome back, everyone. So glad to have you again. Welcome to Chapter 11. We are talking now and transitioning in our marketing, promotional, and communication mix worksheet between the marketing mix and moving into the promotion mix. Before next time we're together, we'll talk about the communication mix. And we'll talk about it and talk about it and talk about it because there's a lot to talk about. Recognize in this chapter, as with all of the chapters in this book, is this class is designed to give an orientation to all marketing concepts and tools to make you dangerous in a couple ways. One, as an operator of an organization, if you hire a marketing director or person, that you recognize everyone should have some skills in marketing because we're all responsible for it. But also to be able to speak the language with that individual that may have a marketing passion or expertise that you want to tap into. But secondly, many of our organizations, we are going to be the person that has to implement and be responsible for the marketing effort. So our tools and techniques that we're designing are enough to kind of set the stage and develop our interest, but recognize every subject we're talking about has an entire class and or an entire major on this topic alone. So on some level, I feel we're planting seeds, but we're scratching the surface too on some level as well. So this system is designed with that in mind, that working in our industry, we need to have a set of skills and abilities, but we need to recognize that there is a depth in each one of these subject areas that we, if interested, should further explore. So we spent time already on our worksheet, as noted on our PowerPoint, that we've already worked with the experience itself. We've created the absolute best offering for this target market. We've distributed it, whether it's by location distribution or through different channels and partners. We've distributed it correctly, and we've priced it right for this market and right for this target market specifically. Once we've done those things, you've gotten all the right ingredients now to be able to start to reach them. But there's a transitionary piece here called the promotional mix, because just now that we've got the right stuff in place, I like to say, we have to have the right messaging in place, and we have to be ready to do kind of promotional things, whether it's get our collateral and our merchandise together so we can communicate effectively, which is the next step. But we need a bunch of stuff to get ready and to do that effectively. And we want to have the brand represented well now. We want that logo to be updated if it needs to be. We want the right colors and fonts and style. We want every collateral piece that we create to have that slogan and to have that consistency, whether it's a web page or it's a Facebook post, etc. So we want to work in this promotional mix on these three areas. One is the brand itself. I know you've already done a brand assessment, and we talked in Chapter 8 about the whole idea of a brand, but now we're talking about specifically that brand image that we know the brand is everything, but brand image itself and how we're going to communicate. The logo, the slogan, how you look and feel to the people when they see your things and read them. Your collateral and merchandise that you're going to need is really the second element. What are all the things we're going to need? Are we going to need a brochure, a website? Are we going to need a Facebook page? Are we going to need posts for those things? Are we going to need coffee mugs to give away, or chapsticks? Or what are all the tools that we need to be able to next go and communicate? So for example, if I'm going to do a direct sales call, what am I going to need for that direct sales call? I don't walk in just me, the salesperson, right? I'm going to need to have our menus, our convention, our hotel brochure, right? All of the materials I might need in a professional format and brand that represents all the high quality that we deliver. So this section to me is incredibly important, and it's the reason I isolate it, because so often organizations go from an idea to implementing it, and they don't think of the power of how it looks and feels. So in this chapter, although I've shared some of those things in the chapter already, I've brought these slides today to kind of look at each one of these boxes, briefly 2 of them, because we've spent a lot of time talking about that brand look and feel already, but to talk about promotional events and to also talk about collateral and merchandise. So the last of the boxes is promotional events, and that to me is the area that we are in our industry a little bit more well-versed in understanding of, because we're used to the event business. We're used to delivering things to make other things happen. But promotional events are specifically designed as shot in the arm, I call them shot in the arm events, to spur demand. Their idea is if we do this type of event, the sole purpose really is to get people to see us, know us, use us. Versus so many of the events that we do in our industry are designed to fill other needs, social needs, fun needs, market needs, right? All the benefits people seek out of an experience, entertainment needs, etc. These events, these promotional events, are shot in the arm, designed to spur demand again, right? So let's look at a couple examples of those as we get started. Again, these three concepts we're going to talk about this week, a couple of them in shorter detail, but there's certainly more support in your text this week. So promotional events, as already defined, are these shot-in-the-arm events to spur demand. And we see lots of examples, like recently Olive Garden did a promotion where they were giving away to the first 1,000 people that got online and bought them for $100. You got 7 weeks of unlimited pasta at their restaurants. And as noted in this article, this pasta passes, they only sold 1,000 chain-wide across the U.S., sold out in 45 minutes. They sold 1,000 of these in 45 minutes. And again, you, the user, would have to be the one to get the pasta. It's not like you could spread the wealth around kind of idea. But what an interesting promotional event that they planned. And as a result, it was really interesting and got a lot of press. Not unlike the introduction video you already saw from John Madigan. And it's the same thing he indicated. They gave away a lot of tickets to their boat cruises of Pictured Rocks, and as a result of that, got a lot of press because they did it in charitable ways, they did it in strategic ways. It wasn't like they were just giving tickets away. They were giving tickets away that made a lot of sense for their organization as a promotional event to spur demand. Doing that simultaneously creates a lot of interest, and that interest then creates a lot of media advertising outcomes that don't cost us money, but that promotional event is the thing that spurred or sparked it. So promotional events are amazing, and I think, again, in our industry, we tend to be quite good. But here's one example. On a simple level, we've seen in our organizations do ribbon cuttings when we've added new attractions or opened for the first time or reopened or on a simple level. Like, these tend to not get a lot of media attention because, honestly, they're pretty ordinary and boring unless they're really significant to the community. You might get local press, and if it's more significant, then you might get larger press. But in general, unless there's something really interesting about that ribbon cutting or the fact that you're opening, it tends not to. This did, but it tends to be a common thing we think of. We're going to do an event all around this idea of our grand opening or re-grand opening if we've been modified. Another example, even in the Grand Rapids community, is Restaurant Week. Restaurant Week is a promotional event designed to get people to come and use all of the restaurants in Grand Rapids. Very common kind of promotional event that communities have been developing for a number of years, but really powerful in this community and many others. When we surround it, it gives people something to talk about, like, do you know it's Restaurant Week, right? That's a branded promotion, and it's a promotional event that occurs, and that all of the people participating reap the benefit, and then there's a lot of media hype and communication because it's interesting, it's different, it's fun, it's newsworthy. So promotional events you should consider for your target market. And again, brainstorming them first. You may or may not decide to utilize a promotional event for this target market, but think about it in the power of what could you do, what kind of promotional event could you create for this target market that would help you achieve your marketing objective. That's what this section is designed to do at this point in the marketing plan process, knowing that you might pick something like, we're going to do a 2-for-1 coupon special, and we're going to tie that around bring a friend promotion kind of idea. And that bring a friend promotion is going to need to be communicated, but we're going to start that next week. This week, we're just deciding to do bring a friend promotion, and then we'll move forward after that. So promotional events, kind of working backwards in these boxes this week, a thought that you should have for your marketing organization and your target market specifically. Collateral and merchandise is the middle box in this section, and it simply means what kind of things, again, tools are we going to need to be able to communicate with the audiences, and what kind of professional look and layout do they need to have. They need to match our brand always and the high quality that we deliver. So what kinds of things are we going to need? So in this section, you're brainstorming. And again, utilize the cards that we've developed to just help you think about things you're going to need. And although you may tweak this based on the final decisions you make in the communication mix next time, you, for right now, are just to brainstorm and start to think about what items would we want to use to communicate. And, do we need chapsticks when we go on a sales blitz, or if we're going to go in a parade and we're going to hand out things in the parade route, are we going to give away balloons, or are we going to need a postcard collateral piece that communicates our message? Are we going to need a brochure? Are we going to need a newsletter? What are all the things? Are we going to do a billboard? Are we going to do an advertisement? We have to have a flyer, whatever, a coupon, anything that we need to design and lay out, we want to brainstorm here. So one of the tools I use to kind of organize those thoughts, because surprising to many people are the costs associated with collateral development and merchandising use. I tend to use the word trinket and trash, and that's probably a really bad word. I mean, just in terms, it doesn't sound very positive, because these are really important to the marketing plan process. I need tools, I need things in between going after that target market and utilizing a service. If I'm going to do an ad, I need to have the ad. If I'm going to make a website, I need to have the design for the website. If I'm going to make a sales call, I need to have something I want to give them, a gift of some sort. So a coffee mug kind of filled with candy or whatever I do. So it is very important, and so we call it merchandising is really the popular word, and you're going to utilize, in this case, other professional services to help support you. So for example, Geiger is a popular merchandising company that has a whole variety of quality of items, from inexpensive to very expensive, to help communicate your message to the target audience. So this is a good site. Vistaprint, very popular in our market today, our industry today, because of the cost. It's very low cost and very high quality. It certainly has changed the way we can communicate, because historically, before companies like a Vistaprint Online, to go to a printer and have those solely printed at a printer can be incredibly costly. So if there might be a promotional event we're going to do, maybe I'm going to use a Vistaprint because it's less expensive. But if it's my standard brochure that I'm going to put in brochure racks around the state or around the country or wherever I'm going to distribute them, then I'm probably going to a printer to have that done and work with a printer locally to do that. But the costs are quite surprising to people. Other things, again, maybe a local printer in this case, and I might use this local printer to help me with some of those local efforts. So the costs are pretty expensive. So your secret assignment for this week is to think through, what kind of collateral would you want to use? Are you going to do flyers, brochures? Are you going to do coffee mugs or trinkets like lanyards or pins? I mean, again, the sky is the limit. It can be quite overwhelming but quite exciting at the same time. I always think about your life cycle of that item. Like, we want things that have a long shelf life, we say. I have a couple items that Oakland County Parks and Recreation distribute that I still laugh because I have them for years and years and years, and they've had a long shelf life in my house, and every time I use them I think of Oakland County. And that's a perfect merchandising item, something that stays in people's lives. If I'm their target market, this is ideal for them. But one is, strangely enough, one of those gripper things. It's a round gripper that goes on jars to help you open it. And I own one. It's in my main drawer in my kitchen. And so even if I'm not using it, which I do fairly often, I look at it or I see it because I have to move it around to get to other things in that tool drawer. So I think of that, and I think of the power of that as a great merchandising item that they gave away to me, and I really am their target market in that case. But the second item that they give away, and if you're lucky enough to have the best marketing plan this semester, you may get one too, is a toothpaste squeezer. And as funny as that might sound to you, it is powerful, because if you brush your teeth a couple or a few times a day, like your dentist says you should, right? you're going to find you use that too. So I find myself, it actually squeezes the toothpaste from the bottom of the tube up, so you use every little speck of toothpaste in that tube. But it makes it nice and neat. No one's squeezing from the middle because it's coming from the bottom. It's awesome. But it's high-quality toothpaste squeezers. I've seen a lot of low-quality ones. They spend the big bucks. It actually costs them about $1.30 a piece for these. But they give them away, and they're beautiful. They're beautiful because they're high quality, they work, and I actually recently wore out the logo on the outside of mine because I've had it for about 3 years. And as soon as the toothpaste tube is done, you take it off, you put it on the next tube kind of idea. That I called Oakland County and said, I just want to tell you, I can't read your logo anymore because that's how much I've used this item. Well, they sent me a whole bunch. That's why I get to give them away to you. So I think of that a lot. What does the target market want and need? And how can I get my name in front of them? So hopefully we have that favorable recall again. Remember the 5 phases of the experience. And so every time they see my name, mine being the organization, they have a positive feeling and are thinking about coming again, thinking about visiting again, thinking about the good time they had. So merchandising can be powerful. And if you think about what you have on you now, or your keychain, or what's in your purse or your backpack or your wallet, you have all these cards that organizations have all tapped into the bandwagon and have a loyalty card to somewhere because you need it to get the discount. That's overboard actually right now in terms of across industries. So you see a lot of changes happening there. You no longer need it. You just plug in your phone number and you get the discounts, etc. But the idea is look around you and see all the merchandising, whether it's a pen you're using to the sweatshirt you're wearing. If you have a strong brand, people want to wear it. People want to watch it, read it, etc. And you can make revenue from that too. So it's not to say that this merchandise we can't sell to people. But right now we're talking about it in terms of giving it away for promotional purposes, so we can get people thinking about us and ultimately using us. This is everything designed in this section, as you'll note in a minute, is under the ADA model. As you know, we've mentioned it before, but it's very strong in this chapter as well. So the tool I use is a chart kind of system in my marketing plans. This is the secret assignment for this time. And I'm not sure why I call it a secret assignment, but we're gonna stick to that. The secret assignment for this time is to organize your thoughts behind what kind of collateral or merchandise you would use for this organization. So in this case, first item is a postcard. I'm going to use Vistaprint to make 1,000 oversized postcards, 2-sided, color, full color, 130-pound glossy cardstock. It's going to cost me $190, and that includes $20 for shipping and 7 days production. So a per piece price of about 20 cents. I'm also going to need for my marketing plan some high quality traveler tumblers. So I'm going to buy 288 of these 14-ounce tumblers. You can see on the left from Geiger. It's going to cost $2,500 for those tumblers at a cost of about $8.68 a piece. There's setup charges with that. There's first-time logo use charges, etc. for this. And if I'm going to do it 4-color versus 1-color or 2-color, all those things have an impact on price. So your secret assignment is to develop the same chart. My outcome for you is you understand the costs associated with merchandise. You understand the choices available to you in merchandise and collateral development, and kind of wrap your arms around the idea and the power of promotional merchandising. Promotional collateral is critically important to the marketing plan process. So we want it to be designed really well. Not only do we make a choice to have a tumbler, but what am I going to put on that tumbler? And what's the logo, the look, the saying, the slogan? Am I going to have a website on it or no website? What are all the things I need to know? So as we move from promotional events to promotional merchandising and collateral, we got to think about what that look and feel is of anything that we do in this section. So as we move forward, I'm going to talk more specifically in Chapter 11 about brand and collateral design. And we've talked obviously in Chapter 8 about the brand itself and the look and feel. But now we want to talk about, okay, how do we design it and what do we do? Now again, if I can hire a graphic designer, great, but I still have to be able to speak the language to that graphic designer, and I need to be able to walk the talk and just because I hired a graphic designer doesn't mean it's perfect for me. And just as the examples I shared with you in Chapter 8, I have to have a concept of what I want to do, a theme, a look, a feel. I have to give them recommendations about things. They would come back to me with some ideas. But I've never worked with a graphic designer that verbatim knew my organization better than I know my organization. So in that case alone, it has to be a dialogue between the graphic artist and you, or the ad agency, or the marketing firm. It's a give and take. So the more I speak their language, the better off this will be. Now, for many of us, we don't have the luxury of hiring that graphic designer. Although, again, let me emphasize, if there's one area that I'm going to save my money as an organization to be able to invest, it's here first. I've got to have the right imagery, the right look and feel for my organization before I ever go tell someone. As I shared with you earlier, I have stopped the process because just because I know who the target market is and I feel we can go after them, if I don't have the right stuff to go after them, I am not going, because I will do more damage to that target market and having them not want to come to us than I will entice them or encourage them or invite them to come in a meaningful way. So I'm going to invest often, even for me, for startup organizations, for small organizations in our recreation, event, hospitality, tourism, industry, mom and pops. I'm going to get them to create this with professional assistance as much as I am big corporations. So critical for all of us to have the right look and feel. Let's look at some designs in this chapter and get a sense again of look and feel, and get dangerous with the language of a designer, so we can not only design our own if we have to, which you'll do yet this semester, but that we're more dangerous when we deal with others who we're going to hire to maybe do that for us. So today we want to consider design issues. We want to consider steps to creating an effective look, and we want to look at sample designs, and that's how we're going to get started. So I need you to think about again and remember that, first of all, people are inundated with thousands and thousands of messages a day. So how do I get my message to that target market in a meaningful way when I know they've heard thousands of other messages, subliminally or very apparently, through their radio, TV, walking, reading, seeing? You can't avoid them. So with that, I need mine to stand out and be relevant to that market I want to speak with. So I'm going to follow the ADA model, and as known, it's creating everything graphically I create has to have a design method that includes grabbing someone's attention, generating interest, and a desire to act. And if I don't have all four of those elements covered in my designs, then I will lose them in coming full circle to come to us. I've seen lots of ads over time that get your attention, but you get confused on even what it's about or who it is, and you lose yourself right in the middle of that and don't take any action. Conversely, they might have action oriented in there. I've never paid attention to it because it didn't do a good job getting my attention first and then generating interest to want to act. But there's nothing more frustrating than it's like a fishing experience. They throw it out there and they get you hooked, get their attention, get their interest, desire, action, but then they just drop the pole. They don't lure you in with all the right information you need to make a good decision about an experience in our industry. So we need to always follow the ADA model. We always need to make sure we know who our target market is and think like them. So again, put your target market in you right now. So I'm that 65-year-old man, right, interested in competitive fitness. Going back to the example I've used all semester, but I need to think like that target market, where they go, what they do, what they read, what they buy, what they watch, what they see, what they do when they're not doing things with us, what they do when they're doing things with us, etc. The more I understand my target market, the better and easier this whole rest of this process will be. And then I always need to choose things that are appropriate for that target market. Like a 25-year-old strong young male isn't going to want the gripper thing in his kitchen, right? But my age market does, and a female in particular, I can never get those jars open. So one of those gripper jar openers is awesome, right? So we want to choose everything that's appropriate for the target market. And again, doing a promotional event only makes sense if the market finds that of value. So always keep that in mind, and always choose something that we can do, and then we'll make decisions eventually of things we can and can't do. But right now, again, keep in mind we should be brainstorming, and I encourage brainstorming so much because so often we just quickly make a decision and go. Well, we need to step back and brainstorm. What are all the promotional events we could do? Geez, I have a golf course, but maybe I'm going to bring in Jack Nicklaus for an event. And people roll their eyes, and I'm like, stop, this is brainstorming. This is, hey, I'm trying to attract the senior market. He is so well known in that senior market, and get those senior golfers golfing. That wouldn't it be awesome if we could do a promotional event and have Jack Nicklaus there for the day? Yes, it would. So right now, put it on the list. You don't know. I think I could get Jack Nicklaus. Make it affordable. I hate no. Work on yes. Work on how. Work on if it's that important, and if it's that would help us be that successful, then think around the barriers. Again, anybody can be told no, but you're working for an organization, or in your organization, or with an organization, that you need to show how you can think differently, how you can be unique, how you can get things to be yes. So again, maybe Jack Nicklaus not a good example in terms of being able to, but you never know. So tell me what you think of these. Look at these ads, and I want you to tell me, I want to see if you're bobbleheading. Are you bobbleheading yes, like, hey, those are pretty cool? Or are you going, not liking it? What do you think? Versus these. Second set looking more like this versus the first set looking more like this. I hope you were bobbleheading more like this with the beginning photos, and more like, oh, and cringing a little bit with the second set of photos. A photo like this has, although vibrant and multicolored, is thinking about the ADA model. Does it get your attention? It might with the use of color, but generating any interest or desire to act is gone in this kind of use. There's too many font sizes, styles, looks, too many words. I don't know what it is, and if I have thousands of messages a day, I'm just flying over this with my eyes. This, on the other hand, grabs my attention if I'm interested in fitness or running. It has a very strong attention-grabbing nature with the use of a photo and the rugged nature. It matches the messaging. It has a strong concept or theme. It has simple messaging. I know quickly just by a few seconds. I know when it is. I know what it is, right? And I know how to get more information. A really effective design here. So what's the difference between this and this? Is one is simple procedures of applying the ADA model, generating an attention, getting something first. Did they do that in this example? Did they think when they were designing it, what can we do to get people's attention? I don't think so, because I think they would have designed it differently. And then generating interest and a desire to act. They have some of the right elements, but you don't even get there because you can't do that others first. However, here, you see where your eyes go. you quickly can see the difference. So the same thing with this example here. Again, ADA model using some basic design elements. There's a lot going on here, and we tend to, in our industry, think more is better, but it's not. Less is more, and certainly in today's environment more than ever, less is more. Get people's attention and interest and get them to act and go to other places for more information. That's our goal in designing any kind of collateral merchandising piece in this case. So there's a lot going on here, and unless I know Zola's, it just is too much in my mind, versus something like this vegetarian corner. Grabs your attention, simple messages, simple visuals, generates some interest, right? And then here they're missing, though, a call to action. I don't know where this is, or a phone number, a website, right? Facebook link, something, QR code, something to scan, anything on here. If you don't know where that is, there's a perfect example of, got my attention and some interest here, but I can't act. So that's a problem. So design concepts we want to talk about today include generating and creating first a theme or concept. What do we want the look and feel to be like? What's that? Do we want to be vibrant and active and adventurous, or do we want to be subdued and calm and sophisticated? What's the feeling or the look? And if your organization you're working with this semester hasn't established that, you're going to need to help them with that, make some suggestions. Secondly, after we have that concept or theme, let's design every piece with a strong focal point. Let's think about the use of negative, or what we call white space. Just because we have this much space doesn't mean we fill it with words and pictures. We want design elements in place that bring attention to things. We want attention in order of attention. We want to use the right colors, the right fonts, the right images of high quality. We want to, again, establish some levels of information. Where we want people's eyes to go first, second, third, to get their attention, interest, desire, action. That model all the time. So again, in your chapter, these concepts are talked about. I'm just going to kind of refresh or give you some examples, more recent examples of different looks. And I'd say to you here, which one of these has a stronger theme? Well, crabs, they're a lot like cows, only not really. Has a very strong theme with just the background look of like a crab shack kind of idea. Simple visual. There's not a lot of pictures here. All there is words, but it's a clever slogan and tactic to give you a sense of what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and what the experience is going to be like. Conversely, the other restaurant example is a little bit all over the board. A picture of empty seats of their restaurant is not a powerful image to support what I'm sure they do really well. So this is Japanese seafood, but it has a lobster picture and a sushi sign and designs, and it tells us what they do. There's not a lot of words, which is really nice because it makes it simple, but your eyes go all over the place. And so whenever you look at designs, it's easy to be a critic. I know it's not easy to design good designs. It is not. It is incredibly hard and difficult. That's why we have to hire professionals to do it for us, people who just study design and how to lay out things so people are attracted to it. So with that, again, I feel bad for the second restaurant because they lack a theme or a strong concept to wrap their arms around and use good elements that I think they know or they have, but they're not displaying those. So strong themes are the first step of the process. What do we want the look and feel to be? And if it's not already established in your organization, make some recommendations to them in this assignment this week that suggest what you feel their theme or concept should be wrapped around. And here are the two examples. We move on to focal point. Even if they have a strong theme, and we're not going to judge the theme on these, but what about the focal point? Where do your eyes go with each of these? And then do they do anything to help start to generate attention, interest, desire, and action? Well, I venture to say our example on the left, being all words, you're not even sure what it is until you read a few words down to know that this is a bowling center. So Riverwood is actually a bowling center, golf course actually too, a whole kind of local community little resort. Lovely place. But those words alone keep us from even generating any interest to go any further. Conversely, the photo on the right has a very strong focal point. Your eyes right away go to the food item, and if that's appealing to you, then you're going to go to probably the right next. If your eyes are like mine and most, right, you go from the strong visual, maybe up to the title, down to the right to see what it says, right, and then to the left. So we look for strong focal points, and if you look at any of those first examples, you'll notice they all had strong focal points in our beginning of this PowerPoint. In terms of colors, fonts, and images, these are both colorful pieces, and hopefully a benefit concert was lively and festive, so the right kind of colors for them, but certainly party time has the right kind of colors for them. But you also look at other things. The rule of thumb is, never, 2 fonts are kind of it, 3 absolutely it in terms of font styles and designs. You want simple is better because our eyes can't handle so much going on. All bolds or all large thick text are harder to read. Reds and yellow are harder to read. If you notice the Club Legacy, even on the top of right, it's a little more difficult to read. So we want to be really careful about the colors we use, the fonts, and the images. But if we're going to use an image, the image should be appropriate to the theme and concept, but the image should be of high quality, and it certainly should be reflective of our target market. So if we're going to be going after the wedding market, but I put a picture of a conference group on a wedding brochure, it doesn't make any sense, does it? So keep in mind, and if I'm going after the wedding market and I'm going after younger people for weddings or first-time weddings, then I better have an image of a younger couple first-time wedding. And weddings might be a bad example because we tend to be pretty good in our industry, I think, about representing that. It's a little cleaner of a target market and a little simpler to understand. But how about a family market? You're going after the family market at your attraction, but all your photos are of teenagers, and they're not of younger children. So when a mother who is the primary person making travel decisions in a household, right, looks at that website or looks at your collateral piece and sees all teenagers, but they don't want their 5-year-old to be around an environment that's full of teenagers, they think it's not going to be appropriate for them, then they won't relate to it. So, and they're not maybe going to come. So we want those images to be of high quality, relevant to the target market. And again, it's party time on the left. Again, even though they both use these bright, vivid colors, you're not sure what it is, but it might grab your attention enough if, again, they do a younger market to keep looking. But if this was for a teenage market, they might not look any further either because they think it's for little kids. So you have to be really careful. And I think, again, as an industry, we will move towards targeted messaging and targeted materials for every target market we're going after eventually. We're still kind of in a generic stage where we kind of produce one piece for every target market, but with lower costs and greater ability to do things internally and in-house because we have technology that can support us, and anymore we want to be more custom than ever. Which uses our negative or white space appropriately. And negative or white space is, again, allowing white space to be in the ad, in the design, in anything to give people a chance to focus in. I think, again, in our industry, we tend to be really not very good about knowing white and nothing is a design element. We don't have to, if we have a X amount of space, we tend to fill it. We don't want to fill it because less is more. So, I really love the simplicity of the ad on the right because regardless of the messaging, it's quite clever, and it certainly gets my attention, especially in a sea of thousands of ads or other things. The simplicity will grab my attention. Now, is it enough to generate interest in a call to action? They have a simple message and they have a call to action in that. It's pretty effective. The one on the left tends to be what our stuff looks like. Busy, loud, crazy. Again, if I know I want to go to Adventureland, that's different because it doesn't matter, really. I'm looking for this specifically. It's more for that potential visitor or employee even that hasn't been or is thinking about us. Is this enough to generate interest? Kind of the last concept in this whole section talks about levels of information. And levels of information really looks at how our eyes start to prioritize what we're going to read in this big sea of information. So I use this resort brochure from Crystal Mountain Resort that is designed for in-house guests to market opportunities that they can participate in while they're on site. So this is also sent to guests in advance, saying, hey, if you want to come for a week, here's kinds of activities that we do for the week. But this is given to guests internal, so internal marketing once they're on site to get them to participate in things. And levels of information mean, where do your eyes go? So we see the headline first, so this week at Crystal, but then your eyes go to the date, so I'm looking for relevance. I'm like, hey, we're going to be there on Saturday. Let's see what's available there. And we kind of move up quickly to the date. First, the date, but I'm on vacation, so I'm not sure that's relevant to me because I don't know January 8th, but I do know we're going to be there on Saturday. So smart that they bolded that, but it might be even more interesting to kind of reverse that in terms of people on vacation certainly aren't necessarily thinking about the date it is, but they are thinking about the day of the week. And then third level of information, so your eyes are going from the date to the day to category headers that describe the event. They're slightly more bolded. It's a little difficult to see, but they're slightly more bolded before the text itself. So your eyes are going back and forth to these levels of information. So we want to prioritize any content we put into a design in terms of what's most important, second most important, third most important, and start to think about these levels and are they balanced in terms of people's eyes. So here's a race flyer as an example, and you'll notice they might get my attention with race it up, but I'm not positive what that means, so I'd have to do some more reading. And right below it, though, it says a family day fun run. So then I've lost it, to be honest. There's lots of graphic images below that of all these people running, jumping. That's not necessary. There's a lot going on above it in terms of the city. There's logos. And there's really no organization in terms of levels of information. So my eyes are going all over this thing. Now, they got a lot accomplished in this for their own benefit, but for the benefit of anybody getting this, it's across the board. Versus a race like this. Stronger focal point, right, than just raced up. It's got a visual. Be a superstar for this trust. And then their levels of information are actually in circles. So I go from circle to circle to circle. And then there's information in each circle that I might see, and then I go down to the bottom. So, again, I think both done internally, not necessarily with the graphic designer, but both have some really, the one on the right has a better opportunity or better examples of levels of information where your eyes go, headline, bubble, 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 where the race it up, it's all over the place. But you'll also see some other design elements that are effective or ineffective, like focal point, like negative space. The one on the right has some negative space, so it forces your eyes to go in certain places as well. So when you think of design, the last concept related, and I know this is no surprise, is the idea of proofreading. But I am shocked at my own graphic design work, whether I'm hiring an outside firm, how many errors I find in their work, or how many errors I find in my own or someone internally. Cannot say enough about proofreading. I would have as many people as you could find in a short amount of time look at it, read it, make sure it's right. I have example after example of things I thought were ready to go, were not ready to go. And so the worst thing to happen, if something's going to cost me $200 to do a postcard, I've got to make sure that postcard's perfect before Vistaprint goes and does it. Even though it's $200, it's $200 I could have spent on something else. That's a lot of money, right? Everything is a lot of money. $5 is a lot of money. So that $200, if just because I didn't spend the time to proofread and make sure it was right, but because if I'm the one engaged with making it, I got to make sure it's right, and I'm not seeing it clearly anymore. Get it to as many other people as you can, asking them to proofread it. It will pay off tenfold. It will save you money and time, and there'll be something better you learn about it because you've asked others to help you. If we act as an island here, too, we will not be as effective as if we involved others. So now it's your turn to design, and your task in this chapter really is to think about the collateral the organization currently uses and make some recommendations in terms of existing collateral, existing brand look and design. You've already done a brand assessment, so make some recommendations now in terms of what should the new brand be, what should the new slogan be, what should the colors, the fonts, the style, the theme, the concept, and then design a piece. So knowing, again, we're not graphic designers, you have two links. You could use any tool you want, and certainly tools like Microsoft Word, and Publisher have built-in templates that you can build it with, but those are more ordinary, to be perfectly honest. People have had them at their access for a decade, so there's nothing, although helpful to get us started with design. More and more there's other techniques, more modern designs and styles in other places. So one is Canva.com. Canva.com is, I've only known about it for a couple of years, but this is a free system. You can spend some money on it too, but it can be free, to give us really beautiful, graphically designed, that would match my image when I put in some more elements like a photo or a logo from my own organization, but it'll match my image because it's really professionally laid out, good focal points, good levels of information. They kind of teach us those basics we just went through in this chapter, and by giving us templates already designed in that way. So you can open up a free account as well, and I'd like you to, if you decide in this section that you want to do a new Facebook post and you want to do a graphic image for your Facebook post, or you want to do a postcard, or you want to do a flyer, a brochure, you can do those things in Canva.com as well. The second one that I've linked you to at least is Weebly.com. If you decide that maybe you want to do a updated website page to give your organization a suggested look and feel for a design for a website, Weebly and things like Wix.com are templated websites. And again, what a change this has been in the website world. I should never see an organization with a really poor website, because they are experts at website design, and they have made it so I can tap into the template and tool and make my own website through their system. So free service again. You can again buy upgraded memberships, but on a basic level, I just want you to get down and dangerous with making your own design this week as we focus on design. Think about your organization, think about your target market, think about all the things you would maybe use to help communicate to that market, whether, again, it's a postcard, it's a web page, it's a Facebook post ad, whatever your look and feel, I want you to convey that in one of these templates, or you can do it any other way you like, but this is at a minimum. I want you to get in and test out a template and put something in your final plan. So this week's assignment is utilizing your brand assessment and everything you've learned about what you currently do, plus your competitor. Think anew, think alike, and think about, okay, how am I going to design something that I can communicate with my audience in an effective way? And we will return next time as we move into chapters 12, 13, and 14. We're solely focused on, you've got the right experience from the marketing mix, at the right price, distributed the right way. Now I've got the collateral, powerful brand, I've got powerful merchandise and collateral tools I can use. We're going to do this promotional event, and now I'm going to go tell the world. And I'm going to go to social, and I'm going to go to public relations, and I'm going to go to community relations and sponsorship, and I'm going to look at direct sales and all of the tools in my toolkit to go tell my market in a meaningful way. And I can't wait to get you through the process, through the plan. And I hope, again, continue to make a difference, not only for the organization you're writing the marketing plan for, but for you as a professional in the field to think about marketing differently, to think about it for your organization differently, and better yet, do it differently. Have a great week. We'll see you soon.